Welcome into the PHNXDbacks podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, formerly known as the mayor of PHNX. Mayor no more. This guy next to me, he's still very much in charge. He is Father Overlord Jacob, a.k.a. Faj, a.k.a. Jacob Franklin.
That's me. You replaced one tall white guy with another. Although I thought Jesse was going to be back today.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse doesn't tell us a lot. He lives a very mysterious life that unless he is covering baseball, he is an enigma otherwise. So I have no idea where Jesse is.
Does he just like he goes to the ballpark and then he just kind of fades into
time?
He sinks back into the shadows.
In the wind. Yeah.
But he's so long that one of his limbs is still hanging out,
There's
so you
still,
can kind of see where he's at.
There's still that black and yellow Nike just sticking out of the shadows, reminding you that he's always there, always watching, always keeping
Jesse was trying to convince me that he wasn't tall the other day.
He lords that over me.
He was like, I'm like 6 foot. I'm like, no, you're not, dude.
No, he's definitely like 6'2", 6'3".
That's what I'm saying. He's definitely a lot closer to 6'2".
I'm tall, and I know tall. Like I can tell when I stand next to someone. Like you're almost 6 foot, or you're 6 foot.
Me?
Yeah. Are you 6 foot?
Yeah. Let's just say let's go with that.
Yeah,
sure.
You're 6 foot. I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
I know tall.
It's the best day of my life right now. Let's fucking
Welcome
go.
to the 6 foot club, Derek.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be tall, but more excited that Torey Lovullo is sticking around as the manager for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think we're both fairly excited about that. It's hard not to root for Torey. It's hard not to like Torey when you've met him and know him in real life. And even just as a fan, if you've never met him, if you listen to his press conferences, if you've listened to the sincerity in his voice, it's hard not to be a fan of this guy and want him to maintain, to stay as manager of the team. I know
a great leader of men.
A great leader of men. That's a great point. He signs a 1-year contract extension, keeping him manager of the D-backs until 2024. I think one of Torey Lovullo's finest qualities, obviously, is what he's been able to do with the young guys coming up, right? The minor leaguers. Their adjustment to the major leagues has been overall consistent enough that I feel like it goes beyond those guys being ready. I feel like it has to do with Lovullo and his coaching staff helping them adapt very quickly to the major leagues and sticking around. That doesn't happen for everybody, and it's actually usually more common that they do go back down to the minors and kind of have those options utilized and up and down. But right now what we're seeing is more guys staying up, more guys maintaining time at a major league level. Doesn't look like Corbin Carroll is going anywhere anytime soon. So I feel
hope not.
I hope not. So I feel like that's a big part of what Torey Lovullo brings to this. I know a lot of people question his managing. Yeah. I know that, and I get that.
So Torey Lovullo has critics.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
As does every manager in Major League Baseball. However, I feel like from my standpoint, I have been one of the biggest Torey Lovullo supporters since he started his time in Arizona.
Sure. Started off very hot, right?
It started off extremely hot.
Yeah.
So he obviously, Hazen and Torey are kind of a package deal.
Right.
I think you don't get one without the other unless it were to turn south here and go south for the next 2 years, right? Because he obviously just got extended. I don't see that happening. I mean, this organization is in a position where I think that you're looking at a 3 to 4 year window where they're going to be extremely competitive.
Sure.
Year in and year out, obviously situations change.
Yeah. No guarantees, but it feels like they're very much in a good position.
What I don't understand is the people who sit at home on their couch and feel like they can make better decisions than Torey does, right? And at times, we all question something that Torey has done.
Sure.
Torey either sometimes has too much faith in his guys, which that's a more rare instance for him.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes he errs on the side of having too much caution.
We saw that with Zach Gallen, for instance,
Correct.
in this weekend's game with the Braves. He let Zach Gallen go to 110 pitches on the pitch count, which is a season high. And, he probably reluctantly wanted to do that, but he did it because Gallen was so close to getting out of that inning that he needed him to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he already had said he regretted pulling Zach Gallen in the 6th inning in a previous start.
Correct.
And letting the bullpen go out there and kind of blow it.
Now, I take some serious issue with people that go on Twitter and say that he is inept as a manager, because he is not.
Sure.
He actually pulls the right strings a lot.
Yeah.
He has impacted this season in a way that can only be described as positive.
Yeah.
Right? Like, coming into the season, most national outlets put this team under 75 wins. Right?
Jake from John Boy.
We're looking at you.
Yeah.
And we will call you out on it when you're in studio.
we don't forget.
We don't forget here. But
you know
what I mean? Like, Torey Yes, has
Which,
he made
by the
some
way,
calls?
I don't feel like was fair because I was talking about it with Damon earlier. I was talking about it with a couple of other people. I've had that question come up. Like, did you really deep down inside think that this team could be this good this year? And the answer kind of is yes. And the reason why is because last year the bullpen lost 40 games, right? Mm-hmm. And had they lost 30 games, it still would have been at the back end of one of the worst bullpens in baseball. But those 10 games would have made the difference for them to reach 88 wins, right? Like, so there is something to be said about how close this team was last year, even though it didn't appear that they were very close, right?
Oftentimes managers take a lot of the blame for stuff that's not on them, right?
Sure. Like they trust a bullpen arm to go out there and get the job done.
When this team lost 110 games, everybody wants to put that on the manager.
Of course.
But look at the roster that he was given.
And the manager, in this case being Torey Lovullo, takes that upon himself.
He did,
right?
And he did.
Right?
He owned up to it.
Right. Well, when we had his press conference this weekend, and one thing that Lovullo said was that he has been through some dark times here with Arizona. But
he's also been through some great times.
Well, and that's why he appreciates them sticking with him so much. In fact, Torey Lovullo said this weekend that he wants to stay in Arizona forever. And in fact, here's a clip of Torey Lovullo's press conference and him talking about how much he appreciates getting this one-year contract extension.
I want to stay here for the rest of my life. I love Arizona. My family, my wife, we love Arizona. And I want to be here for every day of the rest of my career and honor whatever contract is thrown at me. It would be great to get a lifetime contract, but that just doesn't happen in sports. I have, for whatever reason, been able to work through some very tough times here, and I'm more grateful for that than I am any new contract that I'm getting. They stuck with me, and I owe this organization my absolute best effort. So when they offer me something, of course I want as long-term deal as possible, but I'm grateful for this extension.
You can't. I mean, how can you not love
I'd
that
run
guy?
through a wall for that man.
It's like Eduardo Escobar said, I would die for Torey, and I would die for Torey. Like, Torey is that kind of guy.
If Eduardo Escobar talks about you like that, Eduardo Escobar is some of the best, like good person, right? Like, Eduardo Escobar is quite possibly one of the best people in Major League Baseball. Yeah. And if you have a guy like that talk about your character in that regard, I don't know how you can find somebody else that impacts people on a deep level like that.
Right. You got to be very objective here when it comes to this team, the talent, basically what Torey was provided in order for him to win. And I think the front office is very realistic about that, right? I think the front office very much knows that, like, 2021 doesn't fall on Torey's shoulders.
The roster was bad.
However, you're still the manager.
Sure.
And you still feel responsible for that. Like, Torey is one of those people that, I mean, he even said, he goes, I'd love to be a lifetime contract, right? Those don't happen in sports, but like he really does want to stay here. And I have a problem when it comes to the question, if you don't want Torey here, who would you rather have in his place, right? Who is going to be more successful? And I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, Gilbert obviously said Bob Melvin. We love Bob Melvin here.
We love Bob Melvin. He's one of the top three managers.
I would definitely bring him back if he was available.
Sure.
But I think Torey's in a spot right now where I just trust. I mean, I trust Torey. Like,
it's interesting because Bob Melvin is in the exact opposite position that Torey Lovullo is in. Bob Melvin was given everything, all of the assets, right? But still, even in that case, when you look at that Padres team and where they're really failing at, they really focused entirely on, position players and not so much on the pitching, which is really what wins ball games, right? So even in that case, I don't know if Bob Melvin is completely at fault for that team's shortcomings for now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them turn it back on,
I would not be surprised if after next season, right, after the 2024 season, so I'm speaking hypothetically now a year and a half from now, probably, right, to see him get that long-term extension.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, why are we just extending him year after year after year after year?
Yeah.
This organization knew that while Torey was going to take the onus of the bad years, the 2020, the 2021, 2022 seasons, right? He was going to take that upon himself.
Sure.
And as the failure that, he put forth or whatever.
Yeah, that's his fault.
That they still trusted him when their plan came to fruition, right?
Yeah.
Their minor league system that they've been drafting and developing for the last 6 years.
Sure.
They knew when that crop of kids came through, there's your litmus test.
Yeah.
Right? When we've got Corbin Carroll coming up to the big leagues, when we've got Gallen pitching on also, Merrill Kelly, all of a sudden, like, we just surrounded you with one of the best staffs in baseball, right? Like, Bannister's great.
Their coaching staff is incredible. Like, it's an all-star lineup.
Right. It's like Brett Strom is highly regarded as one of the best pitching coaches in baseball.
We're deep at manager.
Right.
We could lose 2 managers. We still have a third manager to step
exactly.
up.
So here's your litmus test.
Sure.
But we're not going to give you a full extension until we see what you do past. I mean, we're at the 57, 58 game mark in the season.
We're 1/3 of the way through the season.
Correct. So we're not going to give you a full extension for 5 or 6 years, right? We're only going to extend you through next year.
Yeah.
We know that there's potential to be good this year. If you make the playoffs, and you honestly, everybody kind of put them around a contender for a third wild card spot. If you contend for a division,
I don't know if they did that. I don't know if anybody put them in contention.
Maybe it was just me.
Maybe it was just us over here. But like, I mean, yeah, you're right.
But if you contend for just a wild card spot, but B, right now they're contending for the division spot,
very
for the division winner spot. So this is we trust you through next year, right? You make the playoffs this year. You then go and contend for another division winning season next year.
Yeah.
The bag's yours.
Maybe. And maybe
the bag's yours.
Case. Now, Mike Hazen did make comments as to why now was the right time to sign Lovullo to an extension. And we actually have that from the press conference the other day. Here's what Hazen had to say about why signing Lovullo now, especially while the team was doing well, was kind of a priority.
I've been talking to Derek and Ken about it, and getting to the end of this homestand, getting into the month of June, third of the way through the season, the way the team has been playing, and the team's been playing this way the entire time. I mean, from spring training on, I think the degree of preparation that we see that goes in with Torey and with his coaching staff is something that we think is an asset of ours. The way the team plays for him, that's been fairly consistent, even in the seasons where it hasn't gone extremely well on the win, from a win-loss standpoint. And it's something we're culturally looking to continue to make sure is here every day for us. The investments that he has made into our players, I want to make sure that those investments can be made back. I think that's an important piece of the young club that we have and where we're looking to get to. I think he's an extremely he's a very, very good game manager. He does a great job with our bullpen, those types of decisions, but I think what he does outside of that is even more impressive and more important for us. And I think he's responsible for a lot of the growth of some of our younger players, and the coaching staff that is also responsible for the growth of our players. I think this group has done an incredible job. And we have a long way to go. We're only a third of the way through the season, so it doesn't matter. But to this point, we've played good hard baseball for a solid 2 months.
Now, another really interesting thing about Mike Hazen's comments was he was asked a couple of times why just a 1-year deal or variations of that question. And Hazen made interesting comments about the 1-year deal lining up with everyone else. That's kind of what he said. The group or everyone else. And he was meaning himself. And he was meaning some of the coaches.
Yeah.
So it feels very much like
they're in this together.
They are, and I'm not saying it's like a must win now, right? Sing it. Go Faj. Go Faj. But like it's not really a must win now, but we've talked about that window being open with Zach Gallen only being here for 2 more seasons. We've talked about how
it opened sooner than they thought.
Yeah, right. And we thought it was going to be contingent on the Dodgers and when the Dodgers would be kind of, I'm not going to say not good, but the Dodgers would be weak. And that's what's happening right now. Big part of the reason why the Dodgers are not much better than they are is
Will
due
Smith,
to
I'm looking at you.
It's injuries. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. The Dodgers are wrecked right now by injuries, but that happens in baseball. It happens to good teams all the time. It's why the Dodgers still remain good is because of how deep they are. But the Diamondbacks definitely can, I guess, smell some blood in the water here. You know what I mean? It's a good time for them.
Good baseball teams do that. This is so like one thing about this D-backs team, right? Like we knew they had talent, but you piece it all together and you start winning baseball games and the average age of your team is like 25 years old.
Yeah.
They're going to get into it.
Yeah.
Winning is contagious, especially with a young locker room, right? Like they get some confidence going. And it just so happened that first month of the season, while the record might not have been perfect, right? They were like what 20, like they were 2 games above 500 after the really tough stretch at the beginning of the season. But that was just enough of a taste for those kids that it was like, wait, we can actually compete with some of these teams.
I hate to say this, but like
blood in the water.
The kids are they don't know any better, right?
No.
Like, I'm not going to say they're dumb enough to believe that they can be good, but like that mental aspect of baseball creeps in.
Yeah.
Creeps in when you're at the plate, creeps in sometimes when there's a fly ball getting lost in the sun, creeps into your mind at all sorts of different times. Sometimes that's why guys go into slump. But I talked to Lovullo about this, and I asked him about, like, do you feel like you've changed the mindset? Because in 2021, he very specifically addressed how good teams come into the locker room knowing they are going to win every day. Whether they do or not, that doesn't matter. It's the mindset, right? The mindset is you come into the locker room and you know your team is going to win that day. You know you're good enough. You know your teammates are good enough to beat the opposition. You don't come into the clubhouse hoping you don't lose, right? And he said—
it's confidence, right?
It's confidence. And he said, like, that's where their mindset was at in 2021. They came into the clubhouse hoping they weren't going to lose, right? And, like, that's such a different mindset between championship teams and teams that—
and this is what's great about Reno right now, right? For those of you who don't pay attention to the minor league system, the Reno Aces have been one of the best teams in minor league baseball over the last 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, sure.
Winning breeds winning. And
That's
a
true.
lot of these kids got a taste of what it was like to win important baseball games down in AAA, as important as you want to say they are.
Right.
Obviously, it's very important to the organization that their minor league teams are successful.
But
because
we as Major League Baseball fans don't think that that's
Sure.
very important, right?
Sure.
Like, oh, that's cute. You won your little your
But it's
PCL championship
perfect
or whatever.
for
Yeah.
this team now.
It really
because it's like, I know Alec Thomas hasn't had the greatest, year of his life this year. Obviously, starting up in the big league club and now being down in Reno. But last year he struggled toward the end of the year. What they do? They sent him down to Reno and he hit like 350 until the end of that season.
Same thing with
and
Jake
understood
McCarthy.
what it was like to hit in high leverage situations.
Right. Yeah.
It's so important to this organization that those teams are good.
And that's why there are a couple of things that I think fans kind of don't really understand at times, and that's one of them, right? Like, it's not really a demotion to be sent down to AAA. What it means is we don't want you riding the pine up here at major league level and not getting at bats. We want you to stay active. We want you getting better, but we also don't want to cost our major league team potential wins with having you in the lineup if you are not effective, if you are not able to hit the ball right now. And honestly, the Diamondbacks in this series that they played this weekend against the Atlanta Braves, they struggled at times. It's not like that they didn't have it's not like they didn't have their offense rolling, but they definitely struggled at times in certain aspects of the game. And we can take a look at the numbers here.
Public service announcement. The Atlanta Braves are a very good baseball team.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the D-backs dropped 2 out of 3 to Eddie Rosario. The Braves were also there, but Eddie Rosario and Spencer Strider, who, of course, is incredible. But let's take a look at the numbers from this series. Things are much closer there, but that relief pitching ERA for the Braves is not a fucking mistake. That is really, really real. In 3 games, the Diamondbacks were not able to produce one earned fucking run against the Atlanta Braves bullpen, including, Jacob, guys that pitched their first Major League Baseball game. Like, are you shitting me? Or at least their second Major League Baseball game. But my God, the impact the Braves bullpen had here was enormous. The Diamondbacks did not lose this series by very much. They lost 2 out of 3.
They were very competitive.
And they were very competitive.
And honestly, should have won 2 out of 3.
Much had the game 3 in the bag. The relief pitching really is the big difference here. The Diamondbacks relief pitch, their ability to not hit against the Braves relief pitching and to have the Braves be able to do what they did, or again, Eddie Rosario do what he did against the Diamondbacks in their bullpen, was the difference maker in this one. I feel it really exposed the weaknesses of the Diamondbacks that we've been seeing as of late. Those 2 big weaknesses, in my opinion, is the Diamondbacks' ability to create runs late in games. Jesse and I have talked about this. This has kind of plagued them as of late, and that's a big factor as to why you see that relief pitching ERA is 0.00, right? But I will also say this. They don't have someone that can shut down a game. They do not have that closer. I know that they don't want to go to a closer. I know that he wants to kind of do a closer by committee situation. But the fact is that even with how good Miguel Castro has been in the past, Miguel Castro absolutely blew that game. He was very ineffective. Not only could he not pitch in the strike zone, but then when he did, he threw meatballs right down the middle of the plate. So what's interesting, though, is much like Torey Lovullo immediately having people come for his job when he makes a mistake or the team loses a game, especially like Game 3, the bullpen deserves to be defended a little bit, because coming into this game, the Diamondbacks bullpen actually has been quite good. And I know we don't want to admit that because of this, but that's what happens with bullpens. You tend to focus on the games they blew, and then you don't think about them when they're doing their job otherwise. The previous 8 games coming into yesterday's loss on Sunday, the D-backs bullpen had a 1.67 ERA with an opponent batting average of 235. So
is that good, Derek?
It's hashtag good, Jacob. It's hashtag good. But here's the other problem with that. The Diamondbacks bullpen, the Diamondbacks are the only team in Major League Baseball with 4 relievers with over 26 outings. And that includes Miguel Castro, Andrew Chafin, Scott McGough, and Kyle Nelson. So these guys have been good, but they've also been overutilized when you compare them to the rest of the relievers in baseball. I mean, those 4 guys each have 26 plus outings apiece. That's insane. And I mean, honestly, that's not sustainable for the bullpen, because those are arguably the 4 best arms. Maybe if you want to throw Dre Jameson into that mix now that, that he's back. But I mean, these guys cannot.
But how often are they going to utilize Dre? Because obviously
they're going to need to more.
They're going to.
That's the fact.
Because obviously, since they've called him up, they've only used him twice.
Right.
Which is a problem.
Well, and I mean, again, you're not going to use him a lot because, again, you want to use
long
him in
relief.
long relief situations. So you're almost going to use him like you would a starting pitcher. But I very much expect to see Dre Jameson in tomorrow's game against the Washington Nationals.
In a year where, and I could be wrong on this, I'm pretty sure I found this statistic like a month ago or so, in a year where across the league, bullpen ERAs have gone up.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks bullpen has managed, now albeit last year's bullpen was about as big of a dumpster fire as you could possibly have had. The Diamondbacks have managed to lower their bullpen ERA by 0.3, 0.4 points, which is extremely impressive when a majority of the league's bullpens have raised their ERA by half a point
but
to a point.
The Diamondbacks kind of had nowhere to go but up when it came to last season, right?
It's true.
When it came to the bullpen. And honestly, when you look at these pieces, there are Kyle Nelson is pretty much the only name there that is a remnant of last year's bullpen. Miguel Castro, Andrew Chafin, Scott McGough, all new names, all guys the Diamondbacks are relying heavily on this season. And I'm gonna do it. I said it on Twitter yesterday. We all owe Scott McGough an apology because Scott McGough is our.
I said it on Twitter like 2 weeks ago, Derek.
That's fine.
Steal my tweets, buddy.
That's fine. I'm gonna steal it from you. But Scott McGough, 1 earned run in last 15.1 innings pitched. Fantastic. He's been fantastic. There were a lot of people that said this about McGough, but like obviously it took a while for him to get acclimated, and it's going to continue to take him. You know, he's still probably not 100% acclimated, but felt like we were blaming like the difference in the size of the ball and a lot of stuff.
His split finger is disgusting.
It's nasty. It's straight up nasty. It should be illegal, but I'm glad it's not. But Scott McGough, hats off to you, because we've said a lot of bad things. And again, just like Miguel Castro kind of getting blamed for yesterday's loss, it's not to say he's not at fault for it, but Miguel Castro, much like Scott McGough, has actually been better than he has been bad. You know what I mean? Like he's been good more than he's been bad. Unfortunately, like Scott McGough and 2 of those losses, I believe, that are charged to McGough, he just came in and completely blew a lead without looking effective at all against the opposition.
You know what they say about early season predictions or early season reactions? Don't make them.
Oh, that's all I do. All I do is
we all do
My
it.
entire job is to overreact.
We all do it, but there were people calling for Scott McGough's head after his first. So
he resembled Mark Melancon too much, and I just don't mean in performance. I mean, he actually looks like Mark Melancon.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
The 9th inning has obviously been an issue for this team. correct?
But it's an issue for a lot of teams.
And
nobody has it fucking cinched up. There's probably like 5 closers in this game.
And McGough's tenure as an Arizona Diamondback obviously got off to an extremely horrid start when he gave up the back-to-back jacks.
I still think about that.
To lose the game to the Padres.
That.
That's possibly one of the lowlights of this season so far. And I think people were like, oh my God, Scott McGough sucks. But do you remember Merrill Kelly when he first came over from the KBO?
Yes, I do.
Was not good.
Yeah. There was a reason why he had a +4 ERA, right? I mean,
and what he did, he would go one start and he'd go 6 innings and give up 1 run and strike out like 4 guys. He wasn't a strikeout pitcher, remember, when he first came over.
But he could give you a decent outing.
And then the next outing, he'd go like 5 innings and give up 6 runs. He would always give you length. So everybody's like, okay, like he's kind of bad at times, but also kind of good.
Yeah.
I think that's the same thing that happened with Scott McGough, right? He came over and he like early on was really bad, and then he was kind of good, and then he got bad again. He was kind of good, and now we're seeing, I think, Scott McGough not worrying about what a fan base thinks about him.
Sure.
And just going out there and trusting his stuff.
I wonder how much Merrill has helped him too. You know what I mean? Because
it's an interesting adjustment.
I mean, yeah, it is, and I imagine that Merrill would be a great source for you to go to and to get kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'm not exactly expecting him to like give him life-changing, career-changing advice, but
Merrill doesn't seem like the type of guy that's gonna like talk to you a whole bunch.
I don't know about that. I mean, because Merrill, like, I still remember the first time Jesse.
He could be like the wisdom guy. I could see him being that.
The first time I watched Jesse interview Merrill had the body language of somebody that, you know, like all of us, we don't want to, like, someone comes up to you, they want to interview you, you're kind of like, oh, like, great, whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw Merrill get so into this discussion with Jesse. Like, it was wild because I wasn't close enough to hear what they were saying, but I was watching it. And, you know, at one point I look over and Merrill's like showing Jesse like how he grips the ball and shit. Like, it was funny because, like, I think Merrill Kelly, just like a lot of these guys, like Corbin Carroll, and they are really, really into baseball. And I think, if I'm being honest, sometimes when they talk to people, like, people aren't really on their level of discussing baseball.
There's a bunch of baseball nerds in this organization.
Yes, Zach Gallen being like very, very much
very,
at the top
very
of that
top.
list.
But like, have I ever told you my tinfoil hat theory on what this organization like does with its prospects?
No, let's hear it.
So what are the odds?
Hurts them on purpose so that they have to sit with scouts.
What are the odds that Corbin Carroll, Jordan Lawler, Andrew Jones seem to have the same shoulder injury when they get drafted?
Don't do this on this show. Don't do this here.
What are the odds?
Save it for Espo's tinfoil hat thing. I don't know.
Just put it on the tinfoil hat. What are the odds that you want them to go sit with your scouts in the big leagues for what would amount to not enough of a minor league season for them to get comfortable? Let's just take our best prospects and make them sit with our highest level scouts and watch really high level baseball and just talk about it.
I don't want to call you a monster, but I feel like I should label you as a monster. I should put a warning.
They're not
like
hurt.
Twitter does
I don't think they hurt them
on this guy right here.
I mean, this is no way, shape, or form does my opinion reflect on Derek or Jesse or anybody else. Please allow them back to the ballpark. This is just my opinion on something that I think this organization does.
So just to take this a step further, are they hurting them on purpose?
No.
Or are these fabricated injuries?
I don't think that they hurt them at all. I think that they're just not hurt.
Oh, the fix is in. This is deep.
What's stopping them from just like saying, hey, you're not going to go to like low level baseball, right? You're just going to come up here and talk baseball with us for 3 months.
I mean, I would rather do that.
Because so I don't know if they, for me, I think it's less about like, I think it's what it would look like to the fan base if you were like, we're not going to care about our player going and getting reps. We're going to bring them up to the big leagues, right? I think you almost have to fabricate the story so that your fan base doesn't tinfoil hat.
Look at this. Michaels wants to send you
What
back
is this? How is this toxic?
Yeah, you got to go back to ASU.
What is this?
I'm going to say this. I think, if I'm being honest, that Corbin Carroll like unlocked the cheat code. But I also
What's
think
the cheat code, Derek? Up, down, down.
left, right,
left, right.
starts
A,
like,
B, A, B, start.
select. Yeah. No, but I think the thing for them is they think everybody can do that now, maybe. And Jordan Lawler did. I don't know about Drew Jones as much. I haven't heard anything about Drew Jones. I do know for a fact, though.
He's somewhere in the ether.
No, I mean, I know Jordan Lawler came and sat with scouts.
He did, and so did Corbin Carroll.
Right. But I'm saying, like, that might be something now because of the effectiveness with Corbin Carroll that they just suggest to everybody else that gets injured as because it's a better way. It's something to do with your time than playing MLB The Show.
Saying, it's not far fetched.
Yeah, you're out of here.
Because it's like, why don't you come sit with our best baseball minds in the organization instead? Like you,
but not everybody cares.
You can work out at our camp in Scottsdale.
Cares. Corbin is a nerd. Corbin cares so much about baseball and Fortnite, but mostly baseball. But Fortnite a little bit. That's the only two things he cares about in the world. Family, way off in the distance right now. It's Fortnite and it's baseball all the time. But anyway,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
you don't have to agree with it. It's
a crazy
just a theory that I've put on.
It's a crazy theory, but I appreciate it. And I don't subscribe to it. But what I do subscribe to is those of you here telling Jacob in the chat that he's crazy. And I understand. I think he's crazy too. But I appreciate you guys sticking around, being here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up if you think his ideas hold water, I guess. I don't know. Don't leave us a thumbs down, though, if you don't, because then that kind of messes up the algorithm.
I have a theory that thumbs down is Mike Hazen because I've figured out his plan.
Damn it, you did it again. I didn't think you could make it go further, but now you did it. But all right, we thank you guys, of course, for being here. If you're listening on your favorite audio podcasting app, you might not really see the craziness in Jacob's eyes. So head over to the YouTube channel, see that. But subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback. And please disregard anything you heard on today's show. Now, if you aren't a diehard, you should go grab one of those memberships over at gophnx.com. They practically pay for themselves out of the gate. Not only do you get a free hat or shirt from the phnxlocker.com and 20% off all future purchases, you also get a $50 gift certificate to Mountain Mike. So there you go.
Hashtag value.
Hashtag value. Hashtag value. But you also get access to our members-only Discord lounge. You get members-only merchandise offers. You get members-only discounts with our partners, members-only discounts on events, members-only invites to events, and so much more. So subscribe today, sign up, become part of the PHNX family over at gophnx.com. Now, whether Jesse is here or not, whether it's like whether like life is going on or not, every Monday we do the same thing. Every week, of course, is Shark Week. Every day, of course, on this show is Earth Day. But every Monday we go to the mailbag. Mega Ran, let's go.
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox, and then once in a while there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow. My mailbox.
Hi, everybody. Let's go with our Mailbag Monday questions. Damon, what do we got in the mailbag today? First question comes from Gabriel, and he asks, should I put 10 stacks on Lovullo being manager of the year?
No long response on this from me, just yes.
The answer is yes. Now, let's talk about this sincerely, right? The Diamondbacks really are, right now, tied for first place in the National League West. They are also right now
Who's better
in the
than
mix.
Torey?
That's my question, right? That's my question, because the Atlanta Braves, you expect them to be here.
Yep. Snitker's a great manager.
Dave Roberts for the Dodgers, he's doing the best he can with losing Dustin May and Urias, and that team's still very good. And you look across baseball, and right now maybe you look at what the Rays are doing, but that's an American League thing. If you're talking about National League Manager of the Year, I don't really have a better choice than
Milwaukee, Craig?
I don't know, but here's the thing about Milwaukee is very close to not being in first
place. It's true. They've started losing baseball games.
And they're also not in a very good division right now, where you could arguably say
Torey,
it's more impressive.
It's Torey.
Is it not more impressive than the Diamondbacks are doing this specifically in a division that features the Padres and the Dodgers?
I would say it's Torey and not even particularly close.
And are we just biased?
No.
Is it just because
do we speak from a place of bias?
Yes. True.
Are we biased on this issue? No.
He is the third sexiest manager in baseball.
and
does
that gets
factor
in my
here.
vote right there.
Yeah,
he
I
should
mean,
be
just
manager
I
of the
argue
year.
over the
third is
top.
disrespectful. Sean and I were talking about
Who got
this the other
second?
day.
Did we ever
He's
figure this
Rob
out?
Thompson from the Philadelphia Phillies.
Ridiculous. Blasphemous.
Ridiculous. I agree with Buck Showalter. Yeah, I get it. He's a silver fox. But that man wears the hell out of a jacket. Torey Lovullo, meanwhile, he's over here just being like a natural sexy. But, I mean, it's more about what he's done with the team that is sexiness. Let's not, do we have to? Gabe Kapler's obviously the most sexiest manager in baseball. There's no question about that. AI, you got that one wrong. But
Michael makes a good point.
What?
Pittsburgh. Now, I will say Pittsburgh was supposed to be worse than the D-backs this year. I would say.
Absolutely. And
but they are worse than the D-backs.
But they are worse than the D-backs.
I would say in terms of who's overachieving more, it's the D-backs.
The Pirates had a good April, but they did not have a good May. Right?
And now they're having an okay June. They have not lost.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's June 5th.
They are first. They are tied for first in the bad NL Central.
In the bad NL Central, yes. But I mean, the Pirates definitely
I'm
are
just trying to play devil's advocate since you wanted to answer the question with more than one word.
You're right. And I think the Diamondbacks very much are on a similar level as the Pirates, right? Where they have a bunch of young talent. They have a couple of key guys that they really have kind of become superstars for them. And I mean, they're both on a similar trajectory.
But to make a long answer short, yes.
The answer is yes.
Torey Lovullo, you should put 10 stacks on.
Maybe 20 stacks.
Although we condone gambling responsibly.
Do we?
If you have 10 stacks to gamble that you want to comfortably gamble,
yeah,
do it.
Do it. I mean, maybe you should do it on the BetMGM
Now, if the
Sportsbook
10
app.
stacks are your rent money,
maybe
then
not
maybe
such
not.
a great job. But maybe you team up with BetMGM for those 10 stacks the same way we've teamed up with BetMGM, right?
Ooh.
You know, get some lines out there. We're using BetMGM lines, and of course, you should do
Very well
that.
done,
If you're gonna, I'm just saying, if you're gonna bet 10 stacks, use the BetMGM app. And I mean, if you haven't signed up yet, you can use our bonus code of PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our Arizona audience, you will get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use bonus code PHNX. Shout out to everybody that came out to our cornhole league on Friday. You guys made me very much feel inadequate about my cornhole skills. But much like Jacob, I feel like I got better as the day went on. Would you agree with that? Did you feel like you got better? Did your skills get better?
I
The
did
boards
get better.
are so far away from each
Oh,
other,
their
Jacob.
regulation.
They're so far away.
Their regulation.
I can either not get it to the board or I hit it too
talked about
hard
this-
and it slides off the fucking
I
end.
talked about this on the Coyotes podcast because obviously Sean DeGon isn't here. Sean DeGon isn't here, and so I produced that show this morning. And like the people that look up cornhole tournaments, like just searching for people to come just dominate. Like
don't know
we
how to
have
feel
some
about those
really good cornhole people like showing up to these.
I felt like I made friends with
But
some
they
of
like
them.
showed up and they're like, "Hey Billy, like these
They had
boards
their
are
own
slick."
Yeah,
They
no,
had
that's
their
what I
own
was gonna say.
bags. They had their own monogrammed bags. They brought tape measures to make sure that the distances
No, I don't know
were
their names were
regulation.
Billy, but like I
have
pulled
custom
a
bags.
There was
random
a
name.
Billy out there. There had
Custom
to be one.
bags they
Custom
showed up
bags.
with, and I was obviously shitty. We all were. But these guys with the custom
They were
bags are
legit.
going.
We all
The
were.
boards are
We all
slick.
were.
They're just like sinking
Hold
it.
on.
And I'm
Wait,
going-
Sinking
I'm
it.
not over this fucking comment. We all were. Damon, were you and I not on the same damn team? I thought we were Damon's dogs. We're not
we
going to
got
give
better.
respect for this guy over here sinking fucking bags and making differences in games. I got better as the day went on. I demand
we got a lot.
respect.
I told you. I
I
was.
also got better.
He coached me.
I was the only one with confidence.
Damon believed.
You were down and out, and I said,
I
Derek,
was.
we have this in our
We
bag.
lost 0-11 to Lindsay.
This is
of
besides
all
the point.
people. Oh, where did we get off the track? Anyway,
We did.
This is all the fun you can have if you join us out at the BetMGM Sportsbook out at State Farm Stadium for our Knockout Nights Cornhole League. First Friday every month. We're doing shows there. We're yelling at each other about cornhole. Damon's dogs are out there. Woo! We're fucking performing. We're trying our best. But
We're all gonna get smoked by the people who show up.
that's essentially that's the moral of the story. But check out the show notes for full details if you want to learn more about not only the Knockout Night Cornhole Leagues, but about MGM. And now listen to our friend Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
All right, Damon, back to the mailbag. What else we got, my friend? Daniel asked the question that so many people have asked. Why is Pavin Smith leading off? We probably got this question, what, Damon, 20 times? 20 times? 20 Pavin
minimum
Smith related?
5.
Minimum of 5.
Minimum of 5.
I think we all know why Cattell big time to Pavin Smith there, because I felt like we all felt that same way about Pavin Smith. I don't have an answer for you. I will say that the one thing that we've said about Pavin
This
Smith,
organization loves him.
the organization believes in him,
Yes.
even if we don't. And defensively in the outfield, we can. I feel very confident about saying Pavin Smith is a liability in right field. We saw that in this game. We saw him take an absolutely terrible route to a ball in the game on Sunday. And I mean, it ultimately is the kind of defense that can cost the Diamondbacks big in some of these close series, in some of these close games. But to answer why he's leading off, I don't know. What do you have? I guess my best thing is Torey wants to play this lineups versus righties and lefties, and that's his guy.
I don't think this decision is Torey's.
You don't. Interesting.
I would argue.
Do you want to
that
just
this
keep
is-
your tinfoil hat on the whole show? Because
I think this is Mike Fitzgerald
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's probably
making lineup decisions based off analytics, because obviously we know this organization is extremely high on analytics and statistics.
Sure.
And they make a lot of their decisions based off of that.
Yeah.
There's something they see in Pavin that, while we might not agree with it, they know there's something in Pavin's ability to hit, to see pitches, that gives you a professional at bat most times. While Pavin might not be getting on base at the rate he was to start the year, while he might not be hitting for extra bases or hitting for power or defensively sound, they think, based off of something that they're seeing, that he will go up there and give them a professional at bat at the top of the order every single time. Now, I would argue that this is one of the things that I disagree with this front office in their decision making is Pavin, I think, has almost ran his course here.
I'm going to give you his numbers for the different batting order positions, and I think
Correct.
that's a bigger thing about why is he hitting leadoff. Now, mind you, he's had his most at bats at sixth, batting sixth in the lineup, but batting leadoff is his second most at bats. Batting leadoff, he is hitting slashing 147, 275, 353. Second, 250, 400, 250. Third, 316, 350, 474. Batting fifth in the lineup, 188, 350, 250. Mm-hmm. Batting sixth, which he's done the most, he's hitting 225, 345, 408. Now, I know you can't really hang your hat on any of those numbers, especially the ones in the middle. Batting third, he's only had 20 plate appearances. Batting third, 20 plate appearances, batting fifth. So those aren't very much, but in the grand scheme of things, it very much feels like batting sixth in the lineup makes a lot of sense. I don't know what Torey's doing as far as his lineup construction is concerned, but I am with a lot of people. I don't think that that's really great for this team. And when you look at some of the losses, when you look at some of the lack of run production, some of it falls on the way that they're splitting this lineup, apart, and the way that these guys aren't coming through, especially with runners in scoring position, as we saw.
Can I make a bold
series
take
with the Braves? I love when you make a bold take, so please go ahead.
He should be hitting in Dominic Canzone's spot in Reno.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. We've seen Emmanuel Rivera play actually a pretty good first base. So I think the Diamondbacks have their backup at first for Christian Walker, and I think it's Emmanuel Rivera. I feel like that's a better option. And to be honest, I feel like I'm a better option in right field than Pavin Smith is. And
I would love to see Derek
not very
play
fast at
professional
all.
baseball.
I am not, but I'm just starting to feel that way, Not at the plate.
I don't like making statements like that, but at some point
right.
he's gonna run his course, right? Like you can't. This team has shown that this year they are going to make the moves they don't want to make.
It's not just like his physical. It's not just like his physical athleticism.
He's hurting this team.
It's like his judgment, and they talked about it on the broadcast. Like when he missed that fly ball in right field, they were talking about his path to the ball and how bad it was, and how kind of confused he was out there. Pavin has a great idea of what the strike zone is, but I don't know if he's very good at knowing the best routes and stuff to take as an outfielder. And honestly, if you're just kind of mediocre at all of that stuff, as a backup or whatever, you're not. I mean, you can't be relied on to start like they started him in right field.
Well, it also could be. God, I don't mean to be this like tinfoil hat guy the whole time.
Oh my God!
I just like, what if they're running him out there in hopes that he has good performances so that they can offload him at the deadline?
Maybe, but I almost feel like maybe more part of it is that they do intend on sending him down. So why not get as much use out of him now so that you can kind of give some guys some rest and try to have this lineup be as 100% as possible. I don't really know.
Yeah.
We still have the question about where does Kyle Lewis play when he comes back, and Kyle Lewis has been very good
Dominic Kansas
in the minor league. And that's the other thing. Dominic Fletcher is still down, and we know how good
Thomas,
Alec Thomas. Yeah, so there's a lot of options, and it's a good problem for the Diamondbacks to have. Correct. But we really don't have an answer for you on Pavin Smith, other than I don't believe they feel anybody else is ready right now to come up and do a better job than Pavin. So, but again, Ketel Marte very much made us all relate when it came to how we feel about Pavin. What else we got here, Damon? Michael asks, Josh Rojas's baseball savant page is uglier than the love child of Bertha Faye and Bastion Booger. That is a fucking deep cut wrestling reference, and I appreciate it, Michael. At what point do the Diamondbacks say maybe he needs to go to Reno? And that's not the only one. Like Josh Rojas there's been a lot of question about Josh Rojas's power, his baseball savant page, a lot of things. Rojas looked a little bit better in this series, but to be honest, when you do look at Josh Rojas's baseball savant page, it is very ugly. And I think one of the biggest things about what's struggling with Rojas is his launch angle and stuff is just terrible. There's a lot of things with his pitch swing that I can't really, because I'm not a coach, I can't really pinpoint, but there's a lot of bad happening when it comes to Josh Rojas offensively at the dish. And they talked about him being a disruptor on the base path when he is in the game. And that's exactly what Josh Rojas is. Josh Rojas is absolutely a disruptor. And right now, the only thing that is in red on his baseball savant page is his outs above average as a defender. So he is doing a good job there defensively at third base, but everything else offensively is really, really bad. His max exit velocity is in the 20th percentile. Barrel percentage is in the 12th percentile. I mean, there's some other things here, like his strikeout, walk, and whiff rate are all average. But there is something not great right now about Josh Rojas, and especially the power behind the exit velo on his balls are very, very low. He has a 6% hard hit rate.
If you want to talk about bad baseball savant numbers, let's just talk about Geraldo Perdomo.
Our Risp King?
Yeah.
How dare you?
I mean, the
man walks a lot, and he hardly ever strikes out.
I agree.
He hardly ever strikes out. He doesn't chase.
His average exit velocity is 4th percentile. His hard hit percentile is 1st. He's 1 percentile for hard hit rate. He's 8th percentile for barrel percentage.
Man, but you know what? He's still our Risp King. He got a runner in scoring position, RBI in this race, but I don't know. I mean, I think Emmanuel Rivera has been very good, but Emmanuel Rivera isn't the kind of guy you really want playing.
You need a long-term solution at third base.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think it's in the organization right now.
Really? Well, I know how you've been itching.
I'm Team Emmanuel Rivera.
You guys have been itching to DFA Longo. I know that.
No. I actually think Longo needs to play more.
Oh. All right.
He gives you a good veteran at bat.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay.
Takes pitches, sees pitches well. While the results might not always be there, that you could always argue that that's a case of he doesn't get enough at bats.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes results are really hard if you're not getting consistent at bats. He rakes against lefties.
He really does.
Like the man has a 216 batting average or somewhere around that, and his OPS is almost 800. Yeah, I mean, he could be like. I think you need a long-term answer for third base because it's such an important position to your organizational success, right? Good teams. How often do you find a good team that doesn't have a good third baseman, offensively and defensively?
Yeah. I don't know. At what point, though, I have to ask, especially with the inconsistency, what point do you start looking at Joe Mather, the hitting coach, as possibly being part of the reason? I mean, we've talked about how this team gets offense from everywhere at times. We've talked about how there's rarely a time where it's one guy leading the way over the course of a week for the Diamondbacks. They had that 6-game winning streak, and during that, there was probably a different king snake, as we would call it around here, for every game, right? So it's like, I don't know if Joe Mather is doing a good job or a bad job at times, because I don't know if he's getting the most out of these guys. Like we've said about Perdomo, right? Perdomo's kind of come on out of nowhere. He's our risk king. He's the guy that at times
they're putting up runs.
They're putting up runs.
Can't blame the hitting coach for that,
right? But then when you look at certain parts of the offense, or even at times where you look at the fact that the offense can kind of go flat as a whole, not just this season, but last season, do you start looking at the coaching for that, or is that more of the players? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I think that Josh Rojas is still like Josh Rojas offers intangibles just like Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy do, where when they are not hitting, they're still just very valuable to this team defensively. If they can get on base in any way, it feels like they're more valuable than certain other guys on the team. And it just feels like they're always trying to do something to, get on base, make, freaking get stolen bases, do whatever they can to get themselves in scoring position and get runs. But the Diamondbacks do need to work better on that manufacturing run aspect. What else we got, Damon? Tyler Hall asks, will the D-backs get a closer or just another high leverage arm? And if they get a closer, do you think it will be a closer role, or will they still stick with a closer by committee approach? I don't know. I think Torey Lovullo is open to change. He's kind of one of those guys that has no problem admitting when he's made a mistake. And I think he's also said in the past that he kind of has a hard time not slipping back into that situation of having a closer, at least mentally, even if he doesn't have that person labeled as a job. He called Andrew Chafin their closer, and he even admitted that he kind of slipped up in saying that, but he still kind of meant it. But yeah, I mean, I think if there was one thing that was exposed in this series against the Braves, was how much the Diamondbacks might need an actual closer and can't really do this closer by committee thing.
Yeah, I just don't think that they have a closer in the bullpen right now. Like I don't see that guy.
We go outside the organization for that? Is that the big trade that they try to make a move for by the trade deadline?
I mean, like you said earlier in the show, like how many options really are there at closer in baseball that are that great?
And are you going to get any of those? Are you going to get any? Is it going to be worth jeopardizing future prospects or whoever you're going to have to trade away in order to get an arm like that?
Mark the Shark.
I like
might
that.
Find his way back into this. I
don't hate that.
Am I willing to give him a couple opportunities to look at it? Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, this is a team that had Dallas Keuchel in their starting rotation last year. So
I'm just saying it's not the end of the world if you give the man another chance.
All right. I don't hate that idea at all. Let's see what happens, because he will be back, and he should be back around the All-Star break. So maybe the answer is in the organization. They still have our big fella
to the future. I actually think Landon Sims is the future Diamondbacks closer once he starts ramping back up. I actually think he has it in him. That man struck out a boatload of guys in college and was just an absolute beast. Like Very true. Just like the tried and true. Like there's literally a video of him pitching the College World Series where he looks at the batter and he's like, let's just get this fucking going. Like he's just like he's like looking at his glove, like cursing him out, and it's like, whoa, like that's the intensity you need out of a closer. I actually think Landon Sims is probably your future answer to if you have a closer in your system. I know a lot of people are probably going to say Justin Martinez. Landon Sims is still trying to work his way back from injury, so we don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
but if he turns out, let me just do 2 seconds of searching if you want to give the people some conversation.
No, I like Dre potentially as a future closer. Actually,
really,
he's got great mentality.
Yeah,
I just love his ability to affect the game for a longer period than just one inning.
I do like Landon Sims a lot, though, but Dre is someone that I would look at potentially long term.
Landon Sims, when he was 20. In college baseball, pitched exclusively out of the bullpen, 25 games, 56 innings, 100 strikeouts in 56 innings.
I like that with a 1.44
with a 1.44 ERA,
25
in the
games,
SEC,
and a WHIP of .78 in probably the best collegiate baseball.
And college baseball is hitting too.
Well, and he was one of the only college players.
If you want me to take this one step further,
please do.
The next year, when he hurt his arm in 2022. He only pitched in 3 games. Started all 3. pitched 15 and 2/3 innings, 1.15 ERA.
Let's go.
Struck out 27 guys in 15 and 2/3 innings.
My goodness. I'm getting impatient. And I'm not getting impatient with you, but I'm getting impatient because I want to eat Spaghetti Shack.
So
and
we
you
should
already ate your
quick
Spaghetti
reactions.
Shack. To spaghetti, what? To what? To Landon's?
To the rest of the mailbags.
Just mailbags going through. No, I'm talking about Spaghetti Shack first because I want the chicken parm. That's like, I can smell it. It's right across the hallway from me. Spaghetti Shack, of course, is our ASU alum-owned and operated spaghetti factory, if you will. And they serve a menu starring spaghetti, meatballs, garlic bread, and a few other fan favorites, including that parm that we're talking about. Their mission is, of course, to provide quality, affordable food as quickly as possible so that you can spend less time cooking and spend more time with your loved ones. The number one thing people around the office have said about the Spaghetti Shack spaghetti is that it is, in fact, tastes like you made it at home, right? And so where else?
It is homemade spaghetti. It is
homemade spaghetti. And the Spaghetti Shack is a community-focused to-go pasta concept started right here in Tempe by 5 lifelong friends. We are currently serving Tempe and Queen Creek, and we hope to come to your area soon. So make sure to check out our friends at Spaghetti Shack. And thank you guys so much for the delicious food that I am going to destroy after we are out of here. But before we get on to more Mailbag Monday questions, we do have to thank our friends at MOR Furniture. Of course, Jesse, not here right now because he's working out some sort of weird deal right now with MOR Furniture up for Chase Lounge sponsorship. I don't get it. It's a thing he's doing on his own, but they helped us furnish our studios, and we can't thank them enough for giving me and Torey a place to nap. Torey was all cuddled up on a couch over there with a blankie earlier. He was adorable. But make sure if you need a couch or a wonderful recliner to watch sports in or anything for your home, you check out our friends at morefurniture.com. You can save big on the best furniture in the valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Now, we got a few more Mailbag Monday questions. What else we got, Damon? Brandon Buckingham asks, what prospects do you think are on the table for trades to obtain another starting pitcher and or closer? First, I'd like to say I do agree with that. I think that if the Diamondbacks do pursue anybody in a trade, it needs to be a pitching arm.
It's going to be a starting pitcher because your bullpen's going to be so much better off for it. Because this bullpen has shown that they could be actually good.
But they're just being overutilized.
I think they're just being overutilized. So Landon in the chat, Shane Bieber.
Shane Bieber, you are absolutely an Arizona Diamondback.
Yeah, I would be 100% down for Shane Bieber.
I would
the
like
Detroit
Dylan
Tigers
Cease too, just to make our friends at the White Sox, the CHGO podcast, sad.
Eduardo Rodriguez is
very good.
Such an interesting name for me because he doesn't. I mean, if you're considering your timeline when Zach Gallen is still here, you have this year, next year, and the year after, right? You got three more years if you include this as a full year. Eduardo Rodriguez is really interesting in that regard because if you're willing to spend for an older, I mean, he's not older, he's like 30, but like
the audacity of you look at me as a 42-year-old man, say older at 30, but go ahead.
I think he might be that guy.
He could be.
Because like everybody's like, hey, let's just make the rotation Gallen, Kelly. I mean, at the time it was Fott, Davies, Jameson. Where's your lefty?
Yeah.
Like, I understand if you just carry an extra lefty in the bullpen, which this team actually kind of could because of Mantiply, Nelson, and Chafin. You should carry 3 lefties. It kind of offsets that. But part of my old head in baseball, I'm not a full old head when it comes to like I'm all for advancement of the game, but I do think that there's something to be said about making sure you have a lefty in your starting rotation.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Because you need to break up the visual element of what you're throwing out there every single day.
It's the same reason why it's so valuable to have
if you played a different team every single day, then maybe not. But you're playing guys or teams 3 days in a row minimum. You very rarely play a 2-game series.
Gabriel Ferreira says, Ohtani, let's go. Or can we get Alcantara on a slight discount since he has a 5 ERA?
It would be interesting because Alcantara was...
Don't acknowledge him. He's drunk, obviously.
Alcantara was actually who the Cardinals sent with Gallen to Miami.
We talk about this at least once an episode because we have to make the Cardinals remember this and never forget it. Just like we never forget the Goldschmidt trade. What else we got there, Damon? Karen, Groundhog Mama, she asks, is Gallen too much on his head lately? The pressure of Cy Young candidate to talk. He has struggled at the beginning of recent starts and eventually settles in. I don't know really what's going on with him. I do know that a big part of Zach Gallen talking about his bad outings has to do with his feel of pitches. And I feel like when Zach Gallen has a bad outing, it's because he's throwing nothing but the knuckle curve and the fastball, right? His changeup is very good.
I was going to say, he's got
other pitches, right?
He's got stuff and he's got to trust it.
He abandons them, it seems like, when he doesn't have the feel for it.
Yeah, it almost seems like early in games, like especially in this Braves start yesterday, it just felt like they knew what was coming and put away situations, right? Like the one thing I knew about Zach Gallen, because when he first got traded for, I actually worked in the organization, and I was at every single home game because I worked in the production department for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The one thing I always knew is that Zach Gallen's changeup was about as disgusting as it. Like his out pitch was his changeup. Yeah. Obviously, that's shifted a little bit. His out pitch is definitely his curveball this year. Yeah. Like that has been his out pitch.
It absolutely has.
And at times, I feel like I have not seen his changeup as much as I would have liked to seen it.
Here's the thing, though. Zach Gallen can go 6 innings, give up 2 earned runs against one of the best teams in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And we still have to ask, what is wrong with Zach Gallen?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's good. I
think he's achieved a level of excellence where our expectations at time are too high. And this year, it feels like even though he went on that scoreless inning streak, we've heard out of his mouth say more often than not that he doesn't have a good feel for the pitches tonight, or tonight he was off, or whatever, right? So it's like Gallen, when he's at his best, is incredible, maybe even untouchable, but he's not at his best very often. And one thing that's been said about the best starting pitchers, best pitchers in baseball, is that when they can be effective at 80%, is when they are very, very good, in fact. And I think that Zach Gallen is even effective at like 60%.
That's a really interesting point, because it just feels like even when he's off, he's still better than 90% of what you're going to get in the league. Right. Like he might have had that start in Pittsburgh where he got shelled. But outside of that, his quote unquote bad starts have not really been. He got a quality start yesterday.
I thought he was going to get tossed yesterday.
I thought he was going to get tossed after 2 innings.
He went over and basically told the home plate umpire.
Well, those were some atrocious calls.
They were, right? But the confidence to go over to a home plate umpire and say the words out of your mouth, I am going to throw it there all day long. Almost like, you better call it a strike, because when I fucking throw it here, it's a fucking strike. And I'm going to throw it here all day long. So I just want you to know that's where I'm throwing it. And like, it was just, he was much more like diplomatic than I was in that instance. But I feel like that's
tear is coming again.
Yeah.
Because it's at some point, he will figure it out.
Well, and he's
whatever's been going on.
He's like this much off, right? Like when you're talking about the pitches
Gallen
yesterday.
Tear is
when
coming.
He was hitting the corner and then looking at the umpire, I wanted to fight the umpire because he totally got the corner on that call. Should have been a strikeout. I think he still ends up getting the swinging strikeout, but Zach Gallen, he knows what he's doing out there, and he knows when the strike zone isn't effective, and that's one thing that I love about him. But I think he's fine. I think it's just, again, it's the more Zach Gallen gets seen, the more footage is out there of him, the more information is out there on him, and you can tell there was a game plan about jumping on him early.
Sure,
that seemed to work out early in that series, and that's probably spreading around baseball. They're probably figuring it out. What else we got, Damon? We got any more? Sun season. Eric O'Keefe 42 says, who goes down once Carson comes back? Probably Jose Herrera.
At this
You're
point,
not carrying 3 catchers.
Well, it's really, really difficult. I like Jose Herrera, but he doesn't give you a bat, and his defense has been really, really bad.
Pitchers like Jose Herrera.
They do.
And that's kind of
he calls a good game. He's a good framer.
But less and less of them are actually calling the game anyway, or more of the pitchers are taking the responsibility.
Who pitchers also like?
Who?
Carson Kelly.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we've heard Zach Gallen say that Gabriel Moreno was in the fight with you, and you know that this guy, few people love Gabby as much as the man sitting to my left. But
Yo Gabby.
But I definitely understand, because he's still a young guy. He probably shouldn't be getting this much.
No, Carson's going to be really good for him.
Yeah, just to have a break.
But so nobody is going to like getting Carson back better than Zach Gallen, because those two are peas in a pot.
Very true. I know Merrill Kelly very much likes Carson Kelly as well, so it'll be interesting to see if our best pitchers can get even better once he returns to the lineup. Do we have anything else there, Damon? Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns said, is Cattell a good teammate? Why do they never interview him? him missing Pavin on the way to the dugout yesterday was pretty funny. It made me realize that they never really show him interacting with the guys or anything. Yes, to answer your question,
Cattell is a great teammate.
Driver, questionable. In his Lamborghini, rolling around downtown. I'm not going to say he's a great driver. He may have cut Jesse off once or twice, but teammate, great teammate. Cattell Marte, to me, is the kind of guy that just makes baseball more fun. He's just an infectiously joyous person when it comes to playing the game.
You're talking about a guy that for the last 2 or 3 years has been injured for a majority of the seasons, right? Fair. So, like, I feel like he's been really painted in a bad way.
Injured in a
for
shitty
the past
way, too.
Couple years, like where it's like his hamstrings hurt. So it looks like he's dogging to first base.
Right. That's what I was going to say, yes.
The Cattell that we're getting this year is the Cattell that loves baseball, right?
Have you ever had your hamstrings cramp when running? Like, my God, it's one of the worst feelings
triples.
ever.
He steals bases. He's exciting in the field, right? Like, this Cattell, the Cattell that loves, and he just, like, as to the question as to why they're not interviewing him, you can throw that out. Like, he's just not that guy. Like,
no, I'm going to give you why. Cattell, straight up, he's lying about how well he can speak English. I'm just putting it out there. This guy fucking put the tinfoil hat on. Cattell, straight up, is fluent in English. I'm going to say that. I don't know if he's
want to be interviewed.
He just doesn't want to be interviewed. So does he go through the interpreter, which then, for an English broadcast, makes it one more hurdle that you don't want to have to go through an interpreter and stuff. Like, we've seen it with Lourdes, but Lourdes was red hot and he had the purple hair and I have the purple hair, and it's hard to not talk to cool guys with purple hair. I get it. But Cattell, he's very much just not that guy. Like, he's flashy in other ways.
Him missing Pavin was not at all a thing.
No. I think
he turned around at the dugout and he was like, my bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think he really, I don't think it was a thing at all, but I think it was very funny.
Yes. Cattell's a great teammate, so let's not push that storyline.
Hold on.
You finish your story.
Are we not all, as fans, going to react to Pavin the same way? Are you going up and high-fiving Pavin? I'm just asking.
I feel like you have to.
Are you doing it? But Cattell, another thing that's funny about Cattell was he said to me the other day in perfect English, why did I dye my hair like Gory? And he said it in such a way that made me angry at him because I've never heard Cattell speak to me in such absolute clear English in the entire time I've known him. However, Cattell also has introduced himself to me like 15 times. Like, legitimate, mucho gusto, Cattell Marte. So, I mean, maybe I'm a forgettable face. I'm fine with that. It's fine.
The purple hair is not forgettable,
no,
Derek.
The purple hair,
but
like,
you
he
wear a
seemed
hat.
mad. He asked me why I didn't do my hair like his. And I don't know if you've seen his hair, but he has dreads now.
You should do his hair like you should do your hair like his.
Can I pull that off?
Yeah, if he goes on a tear in the second half of the season,
I'm with it.
If this team, here we go. If this team wins the division, will you do your hair like Cattell Marte for the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm with it. Let's go. I just got to find somebody to do it. And again, much like dyeing my hair purple, I'm not sure if it'll last the process, but I'm with it. Let's do it. Did I just agree to that on the show? Now I have to do it.
Yeah. Can we clip that, Damon?
This is what happened last time with the purple hair. Do we got anything else, Damon? No, we're good. All right. We thank you guys so much for your Mailbag Monday questions. You guys are the best. We couldn't have Mailbag Monday without you, and we've gone tremendously over on our time today, but that's fine.
Sorry,
that's
ASU.
Fine. Sorry to ASU. Sorry to everybody else that we don't care about you. We're doing our thing here, but of course, make sure to stop by Circle K. Whether you're on time, whether you're late, whether you're ahead of the game, it doesn't matter. You can stop by Circle K. Check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection, premium gas, and don't forget gas station gas pump entertainment. Stock up at Circle K, America's thrift stop. When I say thirst stop, make sure to get yourself iced coffee, Red Bull, Monster. They're all on sale over at Circle K. You can get them cheaper than anywhere else. And of course, make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff right now. You can text 31310, text PHNX to 31310 to join their SMS subscriber club and get a buy one, get one free offer on a 32-ounce Polar Pop. Head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And when we talk about that beer selection, don't forget to pick up some Four Peaks while you're there at Circle K. You can get Four Peaks at Circle K or wherever you get your beers. And of course, Four Peaks is all about not only being the official craft beer of the Arizona Diamondbacks, but providing you with the delicious beer down at Chase Field. Hop on over to the Four Peaks draft room where we had our D-backs take over.
Incredible.
It was incredible. They put us out into the section down below where you can watch the game from. Ooh. Then they came over and told us, you don't have to go to your seats. You can just stay here and watch the game. We were like, do we have to buy anything more? They're like, nah, fam, we got you. You're here. And so this is a beautiful part about the Four Peaks draft room. Don't forget, if you have a ticket to the game, anybody can go there, get yourself a table. Maybe you have like upper deck seats. Come on down to the draft room. It's a beautiful view from out there. And of course, join us for our D-backs takeover events as well. You can check out the events page in our show notes to find dates and tickets. Most importantly, follow Four Peaks Brew at Four Peaks Brew, or go to fourpeaks.com/events to stay up to date on everything Four Peaks. And Four Peaks is all about being for teachers. So check out their promotion right now. They're Four Peaks for teachers. Every year, Four Peaks donates school supplies to teachers around the valley. This year, they are giving away 11 $1,000 cash grants, and one lucky teacher will win a teacher's lounge renovation provided by Four Peaks. Talked about this with Jesse. That teacher's lounge, that's key. You got to have the space of your own. No kids are allowed in the renovated teacher's lounge, by the way. You stay out. By the way, am I being mean with that?
No, I just
keep the kids out. The kids don't get to go in there. They're for the teachers, all right? They need a place of their own, all right? By the way, Teachers Tuesdays are back at the 8th Street Pub. Every Tuesday through July, bring a valid teacher ID and receive $4 pints of Kilt Lifter, Wow, Hazy, or Hop Knot because you deserve it. fourpeaksforteachers.org to nominate, donate, or reserve your kit. Check out at Four Peaks Brewer at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. We thank you guys so much. I thank this guy for being here. Thank you so much. He's got so much to do, and he still takes time out to come do an hour-long show.
My daughter's first day at daycare.
How are you feeling? Are you all right?
Yeah, she had a blowout. Yeah, so I feel bad.
Their
I feel
problem,
bad for her teacher.
But see, that's their problem and not our problem, right?
I just one day when she's like at her wedding, I'm going to play this video and I'm going to be like, by the way, I outed you on YouTube once.
Perfect. I have a photo of my daughter going to the bathroom with like cowboy boots on and holding her tablet. So that's definitely getting thrown up on the screen at her wedding. But that's what we do. We're dads. We got to embarrass you at your wedding because we love you so much. But thank you guys, of course, for dropping by. Thank you to you for being here. You guys can follow me. For being a dad, and for most importantly,
thank you to Damon for sticking with us through this onslaught of a show.
Damon is the real MVP of today's show. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at DamonDog. That's DAWG, and you got to do a little at the end for our cornhole team. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jacob Franklin is at Jacob_Franklin4. Our show is at PHNX_Dbacks, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are the absolute best for sticking through with us. We appreciate your time so much. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you extend your manager to a new one-year deal.